Boardwalk proposal splits opinion. Our Warrandyte by Sandy Miller. Since John Anderson put forward the idea of extending the Warrandyte River Walk to Pound Bend via a boardwalk along the edge of Everard Drive, Warrandyte Diary, July 2025, opinions for and against have been flooding into the diary office and across social media. There are some major concerns for the damage a boardwalk would do to the remnant bushland and the impact on the wildlife corridor. Conversely, some responders felt it would be a great benefit to locals and visitors alike. One resident, who wished to remain anonymous, said they thought it was a fantastic idea.
I have been wishing for this since riding my bike in COVID along Everard Drive, dodging a large number of locals walking along the road and thinking it would be great for them to be able to walk along a fantastic river trail. The road is a well-walked trail and it is even a safety issue as many walkers don't hear cars and bikes behind them. Walking the dog there would also be a nice experience as well.
They also suggested it would be good for the park runners to not have to do an out and back, and it would be nice to be able to look at other parts of the river. But even he felt there were downsides, which would require more thought.
The challenge Warrandyte faces is actually car parking though, so hopefully it doesn't attract too many more people on a sunny weekend, as it would be harder to accommodate them.
Robin Atkinson voiced her objection on social media.
Can't we leave some virgin bush for the animals? Why do humans have to invade every piece of land? Humans are so greedy.
She defended against those who felt John's proposal was in favour of protecting the bush.
Do you really think putting in a boardwalk is not going to impact the bush? Think again. I've lived here longer than most, my entire life of 75 years so far, and all I have ever seen is a gradual decrease of land for wildlife. When I was a child, we never saw kangaroos, wombats, etc., because there was so much bush for them to roam in. They didn't need to be near humans, but sadly now they don't have a choice because there is nowhere else for them to go.
She said. Jan Sharp is a member of a group who regularly walk the track from the bakery and along Everard Drive to Pound Bend. She wrote to the diary in support of the idea.
One has to be constantly on the lookout for traffic overtaking walkers along Everard Drive. A walking track would be a much safer and much more scenic and enjoyable option. I'm sure it would attract more people to enjoy the Pound Bend Reserve also.
She said she recently discovered the Balcombe Creek Estuary Boardwalk in Mount Martha, which provides access through bushlands along the estuary.
For the most part, there is no railing required as it traverses through the bushland and above the salt marshes without harm to the vegetation beneath it. Railing might be required if there are any steep drops, of course. Flora and fauna can be observed and enjoyed safely.
She suggested a similar boardwalk might be erected alongside the river, with hopefully not too much long-term impact on the natural vegetation. Everard Drive resident Glenn Jameson said the proposal provides an insight into one of the critical dilemmas facing managers of natural vegetation.
How do we balance the questions posed when infrastructure built to assist in appreciating the natural world may visually dominate or spoil native vegetation in protected areas? In this case, we are asking what is the visual perturbation and other effects caused by a 760-metre long and approximately 2-metre wide raised boardwalk on a cherished and unique riverine panorama. The same view without the boardwalk is currently available from Everard Drive. However, this is a narrow and potentially dangerous public road, which John has pointed out. However, the potential route for the boardwalk goes through a narrow and at times very steep piece of land beset by weeds, rabbits and previous disturbances. I am not totally neutral in this discussion. I live in Everard Drive, which has afforded me over 40 years of observation of the indigenous flora and fauna, enjoyment of river views and the tourists and local people's response to them. The proposed boardwalk would be visible in its entire length from Everard Drive, which at the moment is providing a much-used road for walkers. The view is a very unique and dramatic sweep of a riverine topographic location, illustrating the rise of the Limbic Plateau and the erosive cut of the river. The view may not be a wilderness icon, but is powerfully attractive, providing the illusion that we live in a village that nestles inside a comforting forest. It's certainly an icon for the many who have visited over the years and for those who are lucky to share the river and forest as a home. The illustration suggests that vegetation will be growing thickly along the boardwalk, which probably doesn't take account of the damage of the site by the construction of the boardwalk. However, this is a concept drawing and it really doesn't explain how vegetation will not be damaged and the construction on the steep terrain will be possible or feasible. The illustration shows the boardwalk totally dominating the vista, which it would do. The boardwalk will use a large amount of wood for construction, tons of burnable material that would perch on steep terrain 50 metres to 100 metres beneath most of the homes of Everard Drive and 3rd Street and beyond, providing unwanted fuel in a bushfire situation. People will still use Everard Drive even if the boardwalk is built. Dogs will probably not be allowed to be walked along the boardwalk as it will traverse parts of Warrandyte State Park land. So why not try and solve the problem that currently makes Everard Drive potentially dangerous, which a reduction of vehicle speed may be one option. The expenses to build the boardwalk will be substantial. At a time when weeds and rabbits are running over Warrandyte State Park, it would be a shame to support the proposition without providing for protection of the flora and fauna and the wonderful riverine landscape. There is a goat track existing from Anderson's Creek to the tunnel, which is virtually along the same route proposed by the new boardwalk. Bringing the existing walk up to a higher standard can easily be achieved by using experienced and skilled track builders and a few sections of boardwalk if necessary for a lot less money. Why not put effort into that? Some of the great walks in Australia, for example, the Cradle Mountain Walk in Tasmania, Alpine National Park Walk in Victoria and New South Wales, and the Larapinta Trail in Central Australia, have been substantially built by hand to high standards and are a pleasure to walk on and impact minimally on the landscape. On the night of June 26 this year, both my daughter and I individually observed a brush-tailed phascogale from Everard Drive making its way along the mid-story of the riverside vegetation, a designated Victorian rare or threatened species. It was possibly a young male looking for a breeding partner. Even though the land between the river and the road is a restricted narrow piece of land, it still provides a valuable biological link in the survival of this endangered species. Let us think about the ramifications of building a boardwalk in this fluvial wonderland before we make a long-term decision that may be detrimental to our natural heritage and our unique community.